Hello? Born ready. Yeah. Okay. Nice. Here we go. Baby, you come knocking on my front door. Same old line you used to use before. I say, yeah, well, what am I supposed to do? I didn't know what I was getting into. So you had a little trouble in town. Now you're keeping some demons down. Stop dragging my heart around. Little Tom Petty tribute. Hey everybody, how are ya? 9 viewers. Woo! How are ya? I can't hear you. That's what a drill sergeant says. I can't hear you. And sometimes I am somewhat hardcore. Most of you that know me know that I am very Saturnish, which is like authority and rules and regulations and stuff. But that is because that is a prominent aspect in my astrological chart. And so you're just going to have to accept that's how I am. Yes, that's right. It is very good to do some tapotement or percussion on your body. Pounding on your leg, beating your meat. It's really good. It releases the body. It's one of the last thing that I would do during a massage, you know? And it just kind of breaks things down. It releases that lactic acid in there. It really busts things up. And I should do it on my own bod more often. Yeah. It's not difficult. If you get a good rhythm going, and then you could sing during it. Hi, James. What the hell, Joyce? You're saying hi to James, but not me? He's just a viewer. I'm the star here. Undefined user. What about underwear user? 13 viewers? Oh my God. I'm a star. Tonight's subjects are serious mood, funny mood, doubts, okay to just sit, raising chickens, chakra's ear, being disengaged with the world. You don't really have to be in this world. A dead animal saved my life. Swinging back the other way, presidential candidates. Astrology in Virgo stuff. Making products extra clean and nice. I couldn't wake up last night and damn near died. Tarot cards. Cleansing for a long time. Society is like an alcoholic. Read new reviews on my site. How Joe Biden would possibly be as president, and taking the hard line. Pick a subject, any subject. First person that says one of those subjects, that's the subject that I'll pick. Okay, well, fine, Alice. She already said hi to me. I'm waiting for a presidential candidate. Okay. So 2 things on that actually are on here. Swinging back the other way. You know, it is very possible that because we have, and anybody that understands yin and yang in this world knows that it's very likely that if something is really, really hot, or something is really aggressive, or male or female, or whatever it may be, it's very possible that it might radically swing back the other way. Because you see, we live in a world where people can't be moderate. Most people, it looks like to me, just can't compromise. They can't be in the middle. They can't see both sides. They just can't be moderate. And so it's very possible that we might have, I mean, it looks like to me that we might have either one of the angry female candidates, I can't even remember their names right now. I'm detoxing really big time. But the angry female candidates, or peaceful and kind and calm Joe Biden, which are all the total opposite of Donald Trump. So, I mean, regardless, I think it's an improvement. Although, it's like I've told you before, I don't think that it's bad that we are, I think it's necessary. It goes to show you that everything that's happened and is happening is exactly what is supposed to be happening. We need to protect the country because it's weak as shit. And so he's doing protectionist type things, you know, preventing illegal aliens from coming here and abusing the welfare system, et cetera, putting tariffs on China, blah, 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 blah. All the different things that Trump is doing to say, okay, that's it. We're not going to pay for this or that. And also we're going to build the military to all the things that he's doing. Whatever. Whether you call it good or bad, it's very likely that we're going to swing radically back in the opposite direction. One good thing I will say with Trump, things just like get initiated. Whereas before, they had to battle it out and they could never, it's like he's running it like more like a business. Whereas with a democracy, you battle it out on the left, you battle it out on the right, and you might actually get something done, but most likely not. So anybody that's self-employed like me can see the benefits of a dictatorship. But anyways, so those were the 2 presidential thought things that I have. And for me, I like Hickenlooper, who's already out of the race, because he's moderate and from Colorado. See, that's why I like Colorado, because in Colorado, people are very moderate. But North Carolina is also very moderate to a degree nowadays. And they were talking about that on PBS yesterday. But I don't like the angry liberal bitches, women, bitches. But I love Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson rocks. She's too liberal still, but I really like her a lot because she's a lot more truthful. She's a lot more truthful about a lot of issues than the others that won't even talk about them at all. And, I need to write. Also, we need to talk about the Brazilian rainforest, fire forest. We're going to talk about the fire forest. Fire forest. Because a lot of the things that I want to talk about tonight have to do with humans' last-ditch efforts to save themselves. Okay, so you better be prepared, because that is exactly what we are going to see in this future. And the the human population is so overpopulated and cannot sustain itself under the current circumstances. So individually, each and every one of you needs to prepare themselves. Okay? The Boy Scout motto, be prepared. Each and every one of you needs to prepare yourselves by spending a couple $100 on some dry food and doing a lot of the other things like I'm doing here. So many things that I can't name them right now. But a lot of things like starting a garden, learning how to can foods. My Mormon ancestors, they were big on canning. Just a whole lot of things to have food, and I don't want to get too negative into that, but it's really, really good to be prepared for the future, because you just never know what can happen in a world like the one that we're living in right now. And the fires in Brazil, that's not surprising, because when people are getting really tight on cash and they need to create resources in South America, what are they going to do? Well, they need to grow more crops. They need to do things that are going to create cash flow in their countries. What do they need? More land. What are they going to do? Burn down the rainforest. That only makes sense. And so, will this have a adverse effect on the amount of oxygen in the world, since the rainforest creates 20% of the world's oxygen? It would make sense to me that that would be a yes answer. Would that force people to start breathing more? If that was the case, and I believe it probably is, then the people that are living in places that have really bad air quality, it's going to make it worse for them, because they're going to get more toxic, because they're going to be gasping for air. They're going to be saying to themselves, I need more oxygen. I need more oxygen. But if they breathe more, they're getting more pollutants into their bodies. So this is going to be a radical game changer. All of these different things that are happening are putting the pressure on the world. And all of those people out there that you see that really aren't making much of an effort, all these people that I've been talking about for years and years that won't even take their own bag to the grocery store, they don't make any effort in regards to driving less, or all of the different myriad of things, picking up garbage, just not throwing garbage out their car windows. The pressure is going to get turned up on humanity. The G7, which used to be the G8 conference that's being held, that's just ending for this weekend, that's putting pressure on certain people. And France is cool that they're speaking up. A lot of people are going to have to change their ways. And society is like an alcoholic. This is another one of the things I wrote down. Society is like an alcoholic. And I grew up with an alcoholic, my father. And any of you that has also done that should know that you can't do anything about them. They have to hit what's called rock bottom. Okay, so the world as a society also has to hit rock bottom. So I told the women at the Al-Anon meetings for years and years, I told them, why don't you just get the fuck away from your husbands? I would say that, literally. You know, I would sit there and I would listen to them, because you're not supposed to interrupt. You're not supposed to interrupt. You're supposed to sit quietly and listen to each person talk. And they would cry about their husbands, this and that, and what can I do? And da, da, da. And then it would be my turn, and I would say, well, you know what? I am not, and you're not supposed to give advice, okay? I'm just telling you my experience now with what I did back then when I was going to Al-Anon meetings for 4 years. Al-Anon, Friends and Family of Alcoholics. So I told them that, well, I got the fuck away from my father. And now I've completely got away from all of my family in Utah, all of them. Not only that, I've largely got away from society in general, for the most part. And y'all know that. I live up here in the mountains. And I don't engage a whole lot with people. You know, I do my thing and I make my products, but I'm just waiting till society as a whole hits rock bottom. Okay? And that's exactly what's going to gradually happen, more and more and more, incrementally more. When will it be? What will it take for humanity to limit the amount of gas that is allowed for each person to burn? You tell me. What's it going to take before society says, okay, where the government gets together and says, okay, the shit has hit the fan so much now that we have to start limiting the amount of fuel that each person burns. And then what's going to happen? All the rich people are going to try and cheat. Or only the rich people will be able to afford gasoline, because maybe it'll be that the gas prices get to be so high or whatever. And then there'll be a revolution and people will say, well, that's not fair that all the rich people get to burn gas, but we don't get any. We're all freezing in our houses. In my younger years, I thought, I had inclinations, like thoughts that our society is beyond primitive things that they used to do in the past. Our society is beyond barbarism, becoming barbarians. And I will tell you that now that I'm 54, absolutely not. Absolutely not. With the numbers of humans that are on this planet right now, and the potential for disasters that we have right now, I would say that anything could happen. But there are a lot of counterbalancing things that can make people stop and think, hey, maybe I shouldn't do that. And that is like the internet. The internet and hopefully the media and videos, you know, good videos, heartfelt videos on Facebook, etc., etc., etc. So let's see. Let's check out the comments. Good tip, I mean Joe. Hi, Joe. Tulsi Gabbard. She isn't bad. Is that her name, Gabbard? I kind of liked it when she beat up on that other woman that said that she was a woman of color and beat up on Joe Biden. I can't remember. I don't even remember all their names, but I kind of liked it when Tulsi Gabbard did that. James Gifford, fight the brainwashing. Hello to everybody and you, Brett. Hi, Joe. Hey, Joe, what you doing with that gun in your hand? Creepy Joe Biden. Look that phrase up on YouTube. See, I think it's very possible that Joe Biden might be the president, but he's so old. He's so old, and he is kind of sleepy. And so, but I would rather have Joe in as president than Trump. So if Joe turns out to be the nominated the Democratic nomination, I will probably vote for him. I will vote for him. But how long can Joe live? Joe is he's such a nice person. He's such a nice guy. And you get the feeling that if Joe Biden becomes president, he won't really be running the whole thing. It'll be just like kind of on its own. The world is full of crazies. It gets so bad that the government could enforce martial law. The way everyone is going crazy today, what will we do when it gets worse? I don't know, but I'll tell you what, I am really, really proud of all of those people in Hong Kong, the protesters in Hong Kong. Go, 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 go. I fucking love it. I love it. They're making those people, making the people they're setting the example, talking about setting the example for free speech and freedom of whatever. In China right now, a whole lot of people are hearing about the protests going on in Hong Kong. Now, I'm sure that the government there is probably not allowing a whole lot to be said about the truth about what's going on in Hong Kong. But I'm sure that with the internet and everything, that the truth is leaking out to the people of China, and that they're seeing how somebody is fighting back against their communist dictatorship. And I think if they stick together, I think that they can really hang in there. See, they were, of course, a British colony, whatever, and ruled by the British, and they got their taste of democracy, and they don't want to let that go. And it's really, really cool that they're fighting back against extradition of people that are accused of whatever to the Chinese mainland. That is so freaking cool. And what's next? Because you see, in so many years, China is supposed to completely take over Hong Kong. And over the next several decades, we're going to see how they're going to resist being taken over by the Chinese government. And I just think that that's really, really cool. So you can see, or I don't know if you can see it, but I can see that we're down to 14 viewers. Okay? So when I talk about my truths, and they're not easy to take, you'll notice that a lot of people will drop out because they don't want to hear about that. That's another reason why I don't get too many views on my videos anymore. Because you see, over the years, thousands and thousands of people didn't want to hear the truth about the things that I talk about because they weren't ready or whatever. And that's what I'm talking about in regards to, you know, the society that we live in being like an alcoholic. If it's not ready to start relinquishing the bullshit things that they do and start actually taking care of themselves and this planet, which are one and the same, if they're not ready to do that, hopefully the shit hitting the fan will get them ready soon. But until that time, here I am trying to stay away and back, and I've got my clean air. See, as long as I've got my clean air, I've got my clean water, I've got my clean food, and I've got some Facebook friends, I can hang in there. And that's the plan, baby. Hey, Andrew. Hey, Mr. Kayaker. The other day, I did a consultation with a guy in South Africa whose Facebook name is Kunta Kinte. And he has Tourette's syndrome. And he also has some various bodily nerve troubles. And so I'm hoping that I got him going on some self-massage and yoga. I'm hoping that I got him going to 1, his first yoga class, and 2, his first massage session there in Cape Town, South Africa. But everyone out there should know that I am totally geared. I am totally geared to talk to whoever via Skype or Facebook live on this computer about their health issues, whatever they may be, mental, physical, spiritual, or emotional. When I can see you, when I can hear you, when I can get a feel for who you are, then it's very likely that I can lead you in the right direction. A holistic consultation is $50. And I am totally worth it. Talking to me for an hour is totally worth $50. And that's been the consensus. That's pretty much been the consensus since I started doing them many years ago. And I really listen to you. I really get to know you a little bit anyway over that period of time. And I can steer you in a couple of directions. And after a month or two, it might be smart to do another one. Okay. Have you ever been curious enough to get a DNA test? I am pondering the thought. No, I do know though, and I have a video entitled How to Find Your Ancestry for Free. And it's really a popular video. And I show people that they can go back and find their ancestors on the findagrave.com site. www.findagrave. And you can go and look up your grandparents, then you can look up their parents. You can go back. And you can write it all down. I wrote it down on a piece of paper that's somewhere around here. And I wrote down all of the ancestors from my 4 grandparents, my 8 great-grandparents, or 16 great-grandparents. And I learned basically that I am 25% Norwegian, and I am 1/8 Dutch. I'm 1/8 Dutch. I'm 1/8 Swiss. And then I'm roughly 1/2 from like Great Britain, mostly Scottish, but some from England and some from Ireland. And so like half from the Isles and the other part mostly Scandinavian. But a lot of that Scottish might also be Scandinavian too, because there are ports up there where a lot of people probably came down and inhabited Scotland area from Norway or Sweden or Finland, etc. But that's largely where I'm from. Okay. So despite my little singing at the beginning of this, I have been mostly in a serious cleansing and healing mood. And I am now consuming mostly just salmon as a meat and beans, and getting away from mass-produced chicken, even though it's organic, and eggs. So I'm really pushing my diet a lot. And that has largely to do with Chakra's ear teaching me things. So if you've got a dog and you're trying to feed them all fresh foods, and they've got a chronic ear problem like Chakra's had for years and years, where you get a buildup in that ear and then you get infection, consists chronically, all just never ends. Then you start to wonder, where is that buildup coming from? And you start to experiment with feeding them different foods. So right now she's eating a super clean diet of just fish and no more of that raw chicken. It's way too fatty because they're not eating near enough greens. They may be range chickens, but they're not eating near enough greens. And so the plan is to start raising my own chickens. And it's very possible that tomorrow I may be ordering chicks online. I may keep them in the basement. I may build some kind of a coop outside. I may build a coop out of the outhouse that's down there. Whatever. I'm going to figure it out because I live on a 5-acre property where the weeds are 6 feet deep. And the only places that are cut are the little trails that I cut with the weed eater around the house and around the trailer down there and the little pathways. And I leave all the rest wildflowers. And it's crazy excellent for wild chickens. And you only feed them like 20% grain or something, 25% grain. And the rest of the day, they're out foraging all day long on greens. But still, see, even if you're raising your own chickens, you'd have to raise 52 chickens to eat one every week, right? That's a lot of chickens. But that still means that you're going to be eating a lot of vegan and or fish. And so I might get going with, in fact, I am going to get started with fishing too. And I might take you on a fishing trip. You guys want to go on a fishing trip video with me? Well, that's what I might be doing here very soon. There's a lake called Lake Roadhis. Can't remember how that's spelled. Do a Skype with you, Brett. I need a video cam connection to my PC right now. Anyways, yes, I have learned via my help from chakra and from studying and experiencing, etc., that ultimately we need to get back to eating only range happy animals, or getting mostly vegan, or a combination of both. Okay, so mass-produced animals, even Coleman Organic, is still way too fatty and not even close to nutritionally as dense as what I'm talking about growing here on the property. Not even close. When you see a chicken that's been boiled or roasted, whatever, that was a chicken like wild, eating greens and bugs, this kind of a property that I live on in, then it does not even resemble one of those chickens from the store. Not even close. But you see, here's the thing. If you're breathing a lot of smog, if you're exposed to a lot of chemicals, you need that fat. You need that fat and you need to keep putting on more of that fat onto your body to be able to absorb and store all of those toxins that you're breathing from driving to work every day, from living on a busy street, from bathing in chlorine water, all of that stuff, from pesticides in the food, all of the stuff, the electricity, everything, all of the toxic stuff that you're being exposed to, stuff that you may be even producing glandularly from watching some toxic movie. Stuff that is getting into your body has to be stored in the fat. And so you need extra fat. But you can't just keep putting on fat forever. You can't just keep getting more fermented forever and having your belly getting more and more bloated forever. You can't keep doing that. Eventually, you're going to reach a threshold. I've been studying this shit for a long time, y'all. And that's what I'm talking about with society being like an alcoholic. The earth is reaching a threshold. How long do you think that we can keep burning that much fuel or coal or whatever it is before stuff starts to crack? Things have to change and people have to go back to living more of a simple life. And that's why there are certain peoples in this world that have been preserved, like the Amish. But even those people are getting dragged into. They're getting dragged into the fast-paced world that we live in. And that's why you have to be smart and do things that can still make a significant amount of money, but do them at home with your own business, like what I'm doing. See, handmade things like I make, they cannot, things, plastic crap like I showed you in that video the other day, they cannot compare. And people that are smart enough to see that just by looking at it and just by watching somebody demonstrate, like on my videos, the products that I use and sell and make, they have to be made with hands largely. Now, sure, I make the products largely on those machines. That planer, and over in the corner is that sliding miter saw and a table saw out on the porch, and all the hand tools, the routers, the all of those things, they're all absolutely required, but they still have to be used with hands. And then you get down to a certain point of where all of the rest of the finishing has to be done completely with small hand tools, rasps and sandpaper. And there's no getting around that when you're making a blade on a massage tool. And when you're making a quality pillow, stuff that's been made with machines, it just doesn't compare. And if it's not organic, it doesn't feel as good. And so if you can get going with making things that you enjoy, and art things. See, people in China and people in Vietnam or wherever it may be that are making things in mass production and selling them to Walmart, those things cannot compare to handmade art. And people will get a craving for that because they see that Joe has the same item that they do, that Joan has the same item too. Everybody in their gourd has one of these things, and they all look the same. But look what I've got. I've got one of these doodads that's completely different than anything else in the world. And it works better because it was handmade. See, and when Americans can start to do that, like, think about it. So many Americans have been getting up in the morning at 8 in the morning and driving to work and doing their steel job or their whatever job all day long. But guess what? Somebody came along and said, hey, I'll do that job in China for $2 an hour. I'll do that job for $2.50 an hour. And now Trump's trying to offset that by doing funny business bullshit things. But that's exactly what those are. Because competition is competition. And it's all legit. It's all for real. And it's all acceptable. And if somebody in China can do it for $2 an hour, then they will. The thing is that eventually a lot of those people are going to get sick of working for $2 an hour, and they're going to get sick of being led around like cattle by their government. And that's going to change too. That's going to change, and they're going to want better wages, and they're going to want better working conditions, and everything is going to even out. Everything's going to come around and even out. And so, but until that time, the smart ones here will be the survivors. And incidentally, while I'm talking about products and handmade products, if you want to sleep better, every single one of you should have one of my pillows. I got 2 more reviews today that are absolutely excellent. Jermaine wrote, thank you for putting so much time and effort into making the best pillow ever. These were from today, just today. The pillowcase designs are beautiful. Originally, I bought the pillow for my mom, who has neck issues and from being in a car accident. And this is often the case. People will buy stuff for their family members, kind of as a present, but also to see if they'll like them or not. And they find out that they really did like them, and then they end up buying them for themselves. And that's really nice. That's really nice. But at the same time, y'all should start thinking about yourselves more. Because oftentimes, if you buy something that's a health product of mine for somebody else, they might not like it. Now, the pillow is a good bet. The pillow is a good bet because most people still like those pillows because it doesn't take a lot of effort. It's not like a massage tool where you have to make effort. So if you're going to buy one of my products for somebody else, buy one of the pillows probably, unless they have a specific problem like foot problem, and they might use a foot friend, or they might use a soother, or they might use the orthotics. But in any case, she wanted me to give it to my husband or brother instead. My mom always looks out for the kids no matter what age we are. My husband ended up with the pillow. Okay, so see, there you go. The mom didn't even want the pillow, but the husband ended up with the pillow. I've noticed that he doesn't snore as much and he seems to sleep better. I've had a small one for years and I love it. I have recommended this website to family and friends because I believe the pillows are the best. I will make more purchases in the future. Thank you again for making a great pillow. And then Martha wrote, perfect. This is the pillow I've been waiting for all my life. I've had a bad neck due to being in a rear end in a traffic accident. Another traffic accident. I'm telling you, cars are one of the most dangerous things in our country. Cars and processed food is even more. This is the only pillow that gives me relief. Love that it's all organic. This is a company with integrity and one in which I'm happy to have found. You're really missing out if you don't try one. I'm a customer for life. Thank you. And she bought another one today. And this month, you get an extra case. If you buy any pillow, you get a second case with your purchase. And that's good until September the 1st. Let's see what people are talking about here. Is he still on? Oh, no. Am I still on, y'all? Somebody says, am I still on? Anyone, what are your health challenges? I'm very curious. Still hear me? Okay, good. Thank you, Alice. Let me drink some water. Okay. My health challenges. My digestive system needs to still get cleaned out a lot. And, you know, when I moved out to the country, I really started eating a lot more meat. And I really needed that. You see, when you have experienced things, then you know what the deal is. When you go from a situation of living between I-26 and Weaverville Highway, in that big house, remember that big house that I lived in Asheville? I was getting smogified every single day. Then I went on that 4-month jaunt around the country. I lived with Linda, my very good friend Linda, in Oregon on the beach. I was so sick, and I knew that I had to get out of that situation because it wasn't just that house, but for years I had lived in busy street areas being inundated with smog. And that's where the cheapest rent is. And a lot of you may have experienced this also. You know, you don't get to live up in the foothills in the rich houses. That's why they live up there largely. It's not just an ego thing, but they know instinctually probably that the air is cleaner the higher you get up in the hills. And the higher you get up in the hills, the richer and more expensive those houses are. And you're not going to find a rental up there. But I've learned now that it is actually possible. You can find a room for rent, especially if you're a massage therapist and you want to do some trades with some rich person. But in any case, if you do live in the city, live out away from major roads, or live up in the mountains somewhere, in the hills somewhere above the smog, because the smog lays low. But in any case, I got out of that situation, and then I moved to that lake, Rainbow Lake in Brevard. And the air was clean and the water was clean for really the first time in my life, you know, other than vacations that I might have taken to a lake or camping or something like that. I was living in a situation where I had clean air and clean water consistently for the first time in my life, and my whole body and mind and soul just kind of started winding down. I just started winding down. And I've been doing that now for 5 years. My first 49 years was toxic air and toxic water, just about everywhere I lived. It was really nice to get away from my parents and go live up in Jackson Hole for the summers, where it was better. It was better. But I still lived in town, but it was better. And so there were a few times that were better, for lack of a different word that means the same thing. But for the most part, I lived where I could afford to live, and I didn't have a deep enough understanding, a deep enough desire to find a place to live that wasn't near a busy street. And that's why I'm telling you this now, so that you could make the change, or that you could avoid that in the future. Get the fuck away from wherever there are car sounds or smog. Get away from it. And if you do, your health will improve, but you will go through withdrawal. You should know this. Everyone out there should know that whatever you go to get away from that you know is toxic in your life and world, you will have a period of withdrawal. And I am now to the point in my cleansing and healing where I'm eating a lot more vegan meals. I'm only eating fish right now. Occasionally I'm eating some chicken. If I need to go back to it, I will. But I'm working my way into my own homegrown chicken, baby. And if I don't need them, then I'm certainly not going to kill and eat them, because I don't like to kill things. But if I feel like I really need to eat some chicken, I want to be able to walk right out there, wring a chicken neck, and throw that sucker in the pot or in the oven and have good quality chicken. Okay? So this is a new test for me, and this is what I'm talking about in regards to new challenges in my life. That. And you saw the chickens. Okay, so here's an example. Those chickens that were in my basement twice. Here's an example. Oh, and by the way, anyone that would like to make a donation can do that with the money sign down below. I'm totally open to that. And buy my products at brettsnaturalhealth.com. Please buy yourself some awesome products. The other day, I worked 6 hours on making a stone foot friend, and I said to myself, I cannot charge $120 for these. I raised the price to $145. Initially, I raised it to $160, and I thought, no, I still want to keep these at least somewhat affordable to people, but I've got to make some money on these because I wasn't making enough, because they take a long time to make. But so I'm kind of all over the place because everything is connected. The longer you do this healing thing, the more you will see how everything is connected. And you'll see how you have to really have the option, a really strong and deep ability to go back to God, to go back to creation, to get back to a quiet place. And that's number 1. No, that's number 2. Okay to just sit. When you're feeling like you're out on a limb, when you're feeling like you really need to come back to center, which is where God is. I've told you this 1,000 times. It's why I call myself Chi. My New Agey nickname is Chi. Because I'm constantly searching to get back to the center. Yes, I like to branch out, and I like to get clear the hell out on the branch as far as I can. Because it's crazy, it's cool, it's fun. And that's what life's all about. But you have to get back to the center of the core of the trunk of the tree. You have to know how to do that. And sitting, just sitting. It does. You don't call it meditating. You don't have to sit. You can lay down. And I just made a slant board for myself the other day. That's another new thing in my life. I'll show it to you. Okay, I'll show it to you. Okay. This is a 7-foot long slant board. This is the bottom side of it. And it's got ribs, as you can see. Ribs and corner pieces. Can y'all see that? And this is the top side of it. It's made out of pine. It's 22 inches wide, roughly, 22.5 inches wide, and 7 feet long. And I put the end of it on the end of my massage table, and then I can lift it to the whatever height that I want to lay on it in an inverted position. And it is absolutely fan-freaking-tastic. Can you dig it? But it doesn't stand. It doesn't stand in the house straight up because this ceiling is only a little less than 7 feet tall. So I lay it on the floor on its side behind my massage table. I just leave a gap so that it can slide right in there. Joe, thanks, Joe. Thanks, man. That is awesome. 100, is that pesos or what, Joe? I don't know anything about Mexican currency. That is nice of you. Thank you, Joe. So, $5. Okay. Anyways, so everything is connected, and life is about experiencing things. And we all love to experience things. But a lot of people like crazy ass things. Like where I live here, there are people, a whole lot of young men mostly, but also some older guys and some women that like big trucks. I call them the big truck fucks. And they put these exhaust pipes on their trucks that make them sound like this. And it's really not enjoyable when you're out walking. And they drive way too fast on the road. And so, I don't know. I just put up with people and their bullshit. And what can you do? Yeah, diesel. Diesel stench. But I've been mostly in a serious mood, but I can still be in a funny mood. And it's okay to just sit. And it really brings me back to center. And it really calms my mind to sit in front of my heater. I like to sit in front of the heater, especially when I'm feeling sick. I've been drinking reishi tea. Okay, so there's another thing for you. That I can feel really kicks in my immune system. And I've got to really chill on that and not consume too much of it, because for me, it's stuff like that can really push me. And it's okay to be sick. The third item. It's okay to be sick. And it's just not okay to be too sick to where you get too dehydrated. You have to monitor yourself. You can't get too depressed, too dehydrated. You have to replenish your body with juicing or soup or something liquidy is really good. And sometimes it's just a matter of experimentation and seeing what your mind and body and soul and emotions need. You have to know, and you have to really listen to yourself, and you really have to ask the right questions of what do you need? What do you really need? What's going to really help me? There was a time when I really needed to go volunteer at old folks' homes and take my dog. And they loved her. They loved my old Coco chocolate lab. And I was even going to be one of those certified whatchamacallit people. I checked into that to get your dog certified to be I can't remember what they called them. But that didn't work out for various reasons that I don't really want to talk about. But raising chickens, we talked about that. Being disengaged with the world. You don't have to live in this. You don't really have to live in this world. So just sitting can take you out of it. Sometimes I really like to watch the news. Even though I don't feel as though I'm in that world, I feel as though at least maybe mentally I'm contributing to my thoughts and ideas are contributing to them kind of waking up in a lot of regards. Like what do we really need to do? Instead of pinging back and forth, left and right between polarities of people and their yada yada, why don't we actually find a solution and make the effort to take the steps that are required to get to the center more, instead of just whatever, complaining or doing the same thing over and over and over. I hate that. And I'll try and catch myself, It pisses me off about myself. And right now we're in Virgo. That's another topic here. We have a whole lot of things in Virgo. I know we have the sun in Virgo now, and very soon we're going to have also Mercury and Venus and Mars all in alignment in Virgo. And on the 31st, we're going to have 30th and 31st, we're also going to have the moon. 5 things, the 5 most major things, all in Virgo. And I have a whole lot of Virgo. My moon, Uranus, and Pluto are all in Virgo. Any of you that were born around 64, 5, and 6, you also have Uranus or Pluto and possibly Uranus in Virgo. And so, in any case, Virgo is picky and analytical, and Virgo hates the same shit over and over again. Okay? When Virgos are perfectionists. Virgo is perfection and figuring things out and improving things. And if you're like me with the moon in Virgo, then the moon is feelings about yourself, and I'm constantly figuring out, and like I'm too harsh on myself. I'm too nitpicky about myself, but that's just how I am. I keep everything in this house. It's just like this. In perfect order. Everything is in order. Everything is clean. When I moved in here, I was disgusted with how this place had been kept. And now I just keep getting it better and better and better. When those chickens are in the basement, if that's how it is, I'll probably number them. No, I'm not that bad, but I'm telling you right now, that's how the energy is, especially if you have stuff in Virgo. If you have natal stuff in your chart in Virgo, your sun, your moon, your whatever you have in Virgo, it's going to be amplified by all of the current planets being in Virgo. I have Venus in Virgo. Venus is like the creative part of you. Venus is like relationship desires, like feminine things too, And Venus I haven't studied as much of, but Venus and Mars are aligned, and they're going to be aligned for quite a while now. That's another thing y'all should know, that Venus and Mars, male and female, and aggressive and submissive, all of those kinds of energies are aligned right now. And so who knows, it could be a romance come into your life, something like that. It could just be some sex, I guess. But I keep studying astrology, but right now Venus and Mars are staying aligned, and also Mercury in the sign of Virgo. So maybe you'll be analyzing each other. Male and female analyzing of each other. Let's see. I hope I didn't skip too much. So once again, being disengaged with the world, you don't really have to live in this world. Another thing that might be really good, if you're thinking about moving to the country, one of the first things that you want to do is get in your car and drive out. Drive out to some place that you're aware of, that you like, or that you've never been to, wherever you want to experience it, and go out and experience it. And that will create an energy. And I'm telling you that I have experienced over and over and over again, whenever I get involved in clocks or lip balm or a country or a car, a particular type of car or a particular type of food or whatever, within a day or two, if I was really engrossed into that particular thing, it'll show up again. And I think to myself, what's up with that? And I don't really know exactly how energy works, but I know it's absolutely true, and that you can create whatever it is that you really want if you focus on it and really get into it. You'll see that somebody from a country that you were just studying a few days ago, somebody from a job situation that you were really interested in, and you were looking into that and looking into that and looking into that, and then just like that, you get an email from wherever, Italy, because you were just watching all of these Italy stuff, and you were eating pizza. Healthy pizza with no dairy or wheat in it. But energy flows, and if you're interested in moving to the country, start making efforts to go out to the country and experiencing it. Now, you want to take it further? Ask around about rentals. Start asking people in the country, hey, is there any kind of an email that goes out to people? How do people communicate around here? Is there a little newspaper? Is there a little what, this and that? And somebody will say to you, hey, here's this and that, and you can get on this list and be notified of all the things that are going down in this area. And that's how I moved here. See, you just have to make the effort. Really, that's the big thing. You have to make the effort. Okay, a dead animal saved my life. I'm going to tell you the story. About 6 to 8 weeks ago, me and Christina were going to go out and shoot comedy videos. And we go out to the car, and Christina says, we're not going anywhere. Your right front tire is flat. And I was like, no. So I went and got my bike pump, and I pumped it up because it was a really slow leak. And I hadn't driven anywhere for days, and so it just leaked over a long period of time. So I knew that I could pump it up with my bicycle pump and then drive over to the tire store and get it fixed. So they pulled the tire off, and the guy said, well, there's your problem right there. And guess what it was? It was a piece of bone about that long stuck in the sidewall of my tire, and the air was leaking past it. And he went and grabbed a pair of pliers and yanked it out of there. A piece of bone. So what had happened? I had obviously hit some roadkill, or maybe I actually hit a live animal. I don't think I hit a live animal. I think I probably hit some roadkill. But the thing with me is that I have this real soft spot for animals. I just hate it when animals get killed on the road. And sometimes if I'm emotional, I will cry about it. I'm a very emotional and feel person. I'm a Cancer, a Cancer sun. And that's how it is with me. And whenever I pass a dead animal, most of the time when I pass an animal on the road that's dead, and we have a lot of them here, possums and raccoons for the most part, and squirrels, and everything. I've seen coyotes. I've seen all kinds of dead animals on the road here, and it makes me sick. And I send little prayers. I say little prayers for them every time I see them. I just say a little short prayer. God bless that animal that got killed on the road. And the other day, I got this bone in my tire that caused a flat, and he took it off. And then the guy says to me, look at this. Your suspension is history. Okay. My front right suspension, the exact same tire that got the flat, was broken. There's on the very top of the quick strut, there's this thing, this bushing, this great big rubber bushing. And if you open the hood of any car, you can see this great big rubber bushing where the top of the strut is held in. That bushing was completely broken. And with the weight of the car lifted up so that the guy could take the tire off, he could take the whole front right suspension and shake it. He says, look at this. Your whole suspension is broken. So we didn't even know if we could drive the car home. But the other guy, the new owner of that tire place, he said that if we put this down, then it'll be okay to drive it home. But you need to put new struts on this car and springs and the bushings. And so that's what I did over the next couple of weeks. I put all new quick struts, which includes all three of those things, on my car. And I also put the sway bar ends. I replaced the sway bar ends in there too. And I did it myself because I've had more time, because I haven't been busy enough. And in any case, when Christina told me that was broken, or that the tire was flat, I said to her, I wonder what this means, because I know the deal. When shit like that just incidentally or coincidentally happens, there's a reason and there's a purpose. And when that guy shook that thing, I said to Christina, I said, look at that. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly why I got a flat tire, in that exact same position on the car. And what happened? Over the next week, I figured it out. A dead animal saved my life because I put out the energy, because I care about the animals getting hit on the road, and I drive slower. See, I drive slower. Sorry. Where all the rest of those dumb bastards are driving 60 or 70 out there, and they don't even care if they hit an animal. I drive 35 or 40 on my road here, and then I drive like 45 or 50 on the main road out there because I care. And it came back to me. That's how it works. What comes around goes around. You create your life. You create your energy. And a lot of people in this world, I don't care about them because a lot of people don't make any effort. And that's why I'm not a Quaker that is also concerned about war. That's their thing here. We have a Quaker community. And their thing is, war is not the answer. Well, I don't know that that's true. Because with war, a whole lot of assholes over here kill off a whole lot of assholes over here. And yes, there's collateral damage, they call it. But there are all kinds of things, mortally, weather-wise, bacteria-wise. There are all kinds of things that can change the game in this world where there are way too many people. And it's not a bad thing necessarily. And death isn't even necessarily a bad thing. Your own death. It's not necessarily a bad thing. I'll tell you another story. A couple of days ago, the night before last, no, yesterday. Sometimes the time just gets by me. Yesterday, I went to pick another tarot card. Two or three days ago, I picked the first one that I had picked in a long time. I hadn't picked a tarot card for quite a while, and I picked the 10 of Cups. Look that up. The 10 of Cups is such a good card for the outlook of one's future. It's just a bright and sunny future financially and good things to come. But then yesterday, I picked the Death card. And I thought to myself, okay, that has to do with Rochelle's dog, Kippy, just dying. My friend Rochelle just lost her yellow lab yesterday, Kippy, 13 years old. He'd had cancer for a couple of years. And I felt really bad for her. And I thought that must be what that is. The Death card is for that. But guess what happened to me last night? I was sleeping. And have you ever had this place where you can't wake up? Your part of your mind is saying that you need to wake up. You need to wake up. You need to wake up for whatever reason. I needed to wake up because I wasn't getting enough oxygen because I was under the covers. I had gotten my head under the covers and I was gasping for air. I couldn't get enough. My body was low on oxygen. And I couldn't wake myself up to get out of the covers. And it scared the fuck out of me. And I was gasping for air, and part of my brain was trying to get myself to wake up. I was like, wake up, wake up, wake up. And I was like crying. I was like, if somebody had been there, they'd have heard me. They'd have heard me going like, I can't, trying to get myself to my brain to fucking wake up. And somehow I just surged and got out of it and woke up. But now that's happened before to me. That has happened occasionally before, but it was really scary because I wasn't getting enough oxygen. And I have to leave the window open a little bit by where I sleep. And I found that it's so beneficial for me, but it's hard to do that. You can't do that in the winter when the heater is on, because the heater is right by the window, and I don't want the exhaust from the heater to come right in the window. But in the summertime, it's really awesome to have that window open because I get direct, fresh, oxygenated, ionized air right in at my face. So that's been like really, really good. But man, it's been 5 weeks since I did a live Sunday night. And that's why I think I have so much to talk about. But like I said, just so many things. I'm constantly working on my health and changes, and the inversion is going to be a big thing. And I know I could have bought an inversion table, a manufactured one, but there are several reasons why I like my slant board better. One of them is that I can put my rubber yoga mat on there and be connected to the ground, just like outside, if I do it on the side of a hill, on my tailbone, and that creates a traction on my low back. Very important, because right now I'm sitting and my butt